Hello there, Philip here, and today we're going to be doing another part of the Genshin court, in which we'll be looking at a Genshin YouTuber that's gotten a lot of spotlight recently, Vars. One of my friends told me that I should make a video on him, and well, here it is. If you don't know what the Genshin court is or what it entails, you should probably watch the first video for a better explanation. But the TLDR is that we're going to be trialing Genshin content creators on their outrageous takes in the game or on certain characters, and then ending off the video by giving them a fitting sentence. And before we jump into the video, as always, standard YouTube practices, if at any point in the video you were entertained, make sure to drop a like and consider subscribing, as I'm someone who doesn't do if, buts and maybes, I do absolutes. And I will now absolutely get into the first piece of evidence against Vars, being this Keqing video. Considering the title implies that Keqing isn't good, which is like saying grass is green and Eula is thick, I don't think anything in the vid can be that bad.
Two of the best DPS units in the game are Ganyu and Hu Tao. And two of the best supports are Kazuha and Zhongli, namely Bennett, Xingqiu, and Xiangling. Despite being rather mediocre as DPS units, Keqing does have the potential to outdamage the likes of Hu Tao and Ganyu if they're alone and in extended fights. Charge attacks from swords knock smaller opponents back, which can get really annoying since you would have to dash to chase after them, burning your stamina. And because she's a mid-sized female body type in game, she has a very short immediate dash range compared to tall male body types like Diluc and Tartaglia.
Where do I even start? First, I want to say that I don't think I can give Vars as hard of a sentence as the clown of the Genshin community himself, because Vars actually provides evidence to back his points instead of just saying whatever he could pull out of his rat's ass. But he's still wrong. It's like your parents going up to you and asking why shooting people is bad, and your response is because you can stab them instead. Like you get the point, but your explanation behind the point isn't that great either, which you'll see more of as the video goes on. So let's start digging.
Other than Chi-Chi, Keqing is utilized the least, with only about a 10% pick rate.
No, why the fuck did you have to bring up usage rates, man? Abyss usage rates have to be the worst fucking variable to measure anything in this game for accuracy. The fact that Kyle on that specific list is lower than both Keqing and Chi-Chi is reason enough to call this whole point shit, but I'm going to expand so there's no room to misinterpret. First, these aren't even Abyss statistics of all players in the game because MiHoYo doesn't release it publicly, so these are community submitted by people who can already 36-star Abyss. As well as the fact that Abyss usage rates are skewed towards newer characters and limited 5-star because usage rates are calculated through their appearance in Abyss by the ownership rate of the characters, which is why the starter characters get shat and pissed on, and limited 5-stars are rated higher. Because most likely if you spend your saved primers on a limited character, or wailed for them, you are most likely going to fully kit them out and use them, so usage rates should not be used as evidence for anything or to defend any point, as when knowing the full context, it makes any claim from it look redundant. I fucking hate these things.
What causes her to be routinely outperformed by other DPS characters, especially 5-stars like Hu Tao, Tartaglia, Tartaglia.
He did it, he fucking did it. He called Child a main DPS.
Keqing does have the potential to outdamage the likes of Hu Tao and Ganyu if they're alone and in extended fights.
I'ma have to stop you right there, Chief. Even without party supports, against one enemy, Ganyu and Hu Tao will probably still outdamage Keqing.
But Star Wars Sword deals multiple rounds of Electro damage followed by a finishing blow. Backloaded burst damage is harder to capitalize on.
What are you trying to capitalize on? Keqing is Electro, she doesn't have multiplicative You get what I mean.
Keqing takes too long to contribute her maximum potential in burst-oriented parties, but her duration is also too short to fit in extended compositions.
What? First, Quicksub Keqing is one of the most flexible comps in the game, so much so that Keqing gave up on listing all the possible variants of the team, as well as the fact that sustained Keqing is usually paired with Beidou or Xingqiu, and as long as Keqing can normal attack, she's still proccing Beidou or Xingqiu while only having less than 2 seconds before casting her skill. So even though it's cope as fuck, it's okay? Okay, I've seen enough. As of now, you only have to spend a night in prison for calling Child a main DPS and pay a fine of 300 for the damage done to my brain cells. Let's move on to the next piece of evidence.
Speaking of elements, Electro. As much as I love it as an element, it's objectively worse than Pyro in almost every way.
Hold the fuck on. We are not moving on yet. The fuck did you just say? And let me hear this bullshit reasoning.
While Hydro, Cryo, Animo, and Geo can double as support reactions, Electro is almost exclusively offense, much like Pyro. This often results in the two being compared to each other, and sadly, Pyro wins.
No, Electro is a supporting element primarily for getting energy back that also doubles as a damaging element due to its sheer scalings.
Vaporize and Melt are not only easier to apply with their current available units, but they have stronger multipliers.
Yes, but you can proc transformatives alongside multiplicative reactions. You literally fucking listed Raiden National, which is a comp that has one of the highest single target DPS due to how many transformatives you can proc, as well as the fact that Electro Charge allows you to have 2 auras on an enemy simultaneously, meaning that interactions like double sword occurs much easier. You also can cause overvape reactions, meaning that Electro can be slowed into vape teams without fucking up vape rates, and you can do whatever devil spawn that Suikokumon is. Keqing doesn't apply Electro in a range like Beidou or Raiden, so when she can't utilize well what her element does, this is why she falls off, paired with more issues like the fact that she struggles in AoE situations, and she doesn't have the scalings or attack range to compensate, or an artifact set that really boosts her effectiveness. Electro isn't bad, Keqing is. Take another 3 days for that. Now let's actually go to the next piece of evidence. Okay. From the looks of it, I can see where this video is going and I don't like it. Zhongli is already overhyped by the community of Fuckton when he doesn't even offer that much to your team. In fact, I could probably off the top of my head list 20 characters that are more valuable than Zhongli. Wait, should I actually try to do that? Wait, this is off script. Bennett, Jingcho, Diona, God Yu, Sucrose, Jean, Venti, Beidou, Fischl, Ride, Zhangling, Aika, Rosaria, Kaya, Zhao frees up Bennett and Jingcho, Eula frees up Bennett and Jingcho, Kokami and Child. That's all I can think of off the top of my head. I'm probably like 2 characters I missed out, but you get the point.
Patch 1.3 was enough to catapult Zhongli out of mediocre status and into tier 0.
Zhongli went from butt-fuck horrible to a decent character.
To this day, he's widely considered to be one of the most overpowered units in Genshin Impact.
By casuals. Most theory crafters and people who play the game a lot would agree that Zhongli is a good character, but not something too exceptional due to issues I'll cover later.
Sorry for bringing up Spiral Abyss all the time, but he consistently ranks top 3 on usage.
I'm going to break something.
Zhongli and Shogun are both top tiers in their own rights, and even Venti, despite being the weakest of the 7, 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 and 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 the weakest of the 7, has remained to this day a very serviceable character, only narrowly beaten out by Kazuha.
Hey yo, what the fuck? Please at least warn me before you sexually assault my ears like this. Venti is a better unit than both Zhongli and Raiden because Zhongli only provides a shield and a minimal damage increase, whereas Venti can use his ult and trivialize most encounters in the game with no investment at all. As well as the fact that he can also use 4 Viridescent, which is a bigger buff than both Raiden and Zhongli can provide, and his swirl damage on a full EM build is pretty big. Venti is also not beaten out by Kaz, as when Venti is the best option, he shits on Kazuha, and when Venti isn't the best option, he's still amazing.
Zhongli's elemental burst, Planet Befall, causes a literal meteor to fall from the sky with some of the highest damage scaling I've ever seen, that also petrifies all non-boss targets on impact for up to 4 seconds. Additionally, thanks to Dominance of Earth, all that HP you spent building on him to make his shield stronger makes his attack stronger as well.
But the problem is that you can't have both, and also Zhongli's ult is a DPS loss in most cases. First, if you run a triple HP build, your meteor is doing fuck all. Don't try to cope by putting HP scalings. Also, the ultimate animation is slower than a dyslexic grandpa with Alzheimer's, so using the ultimate on a triple HP build will lower overall team DPS, as your main carry should be able to output this amount of damage faster. And even if you do invest in Zhongli's damage and sacrifice for the shield, unless you have Homa levels of damage, it's still a DPS loss as the ult provides no utility, and again your main carry should outdamage this. Of course, there are some teams where this is an exception, but this is the case for a lot of comps, where it's simply just a DPS loss to use the meteor. Also, the petrification from the ult really isn't anything special, considering you already have a shield negating damage.
But I'd be lying if I said I didn't think that miHoYo might have buffed him a little too much.
Don't worry, they didn't anyways. The problem with Zhongli is that you only pull for him if you have enough damage to already full clear Abyss and you want more comfortability. Most of what Zhongli provides is completely useless for quickswap comps. As for damage, there are better units and you don't need shields, as you are constantly in iframes or doing something to already mitigate damage. And for sustained comps, you are mostly dodging for their combos anyway, so with higher skill and better play, his shield again becomes redundant, so you could always just place a damage support that offers more. Needless to say, in the overworld, you will always see him in my party as I feel comfy wrapped around my Geo condom. Okay, Vars isn't that bad. I actually like his content, I just think he doesn't look into the way too dank workings of the game. Also, someone tell this mans to get the fuck away from Genshin.gg. I'll make a whole video ripping into that site later, so stick around for that. As for Vars, he gets 2 weeks in prison, but this can be shortened down to a week if he acts like a good boy and stops using Abyss usage rates. Fuck them. And on that note, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe and comment on what you think about Vars and other content creators I could potentially cover, as I'd love to hear your thoughts and I respond to almost every single comment. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the flip side. Peace.